Hi everybody, how are we doing? Matt from Hannah Fields, back with a market garden update for the end of Jan, 31st of Jan today. And it's certainly that time of year where things are ramping up, especially on the growing space in terms of prepping and getting ready for the growing season. And that's pretty much where my focus has certainly been over the last sort of few weeks. Back from the Christmas break and on it with bed prep, checking out seed catalogues, going over our notes from last year, what crops did well, where we need to maybe tighten things up and go again and try and get a better result with other crops. And that general learning curve and sort of reflection, that's kind of where we're at over the December and early January period. But now it's all go. And as you can see, there's a lot of hoops going on behind me, and that's down to the bed prep that I've been doing over the last sort of couple of weeks, and making sure when I start sowing my seeds in mid-Feb, I'm on point and I don't really have to focus on anything in this growing space other than just ticking over with crops that are overwintered and just getting ready to enjoy the next growing season. So let's have a nosy round and I'll show you what's been going on and how we're shaping up this end of Jan. So we'll have a little check on the old purple broccoli, and it's doing all right. It's just sat there chugging away, really. We had a bit of snow damage on here. We had heavy snowfall and that broke a few of the plants. Luckily, not too much damage, mainly leaves that were broken. So I've sort of put some sticks up, propped them up, gave the area a bit of tidying up, and it's ready to hopefully start growing again mid-Feb, sort of early, I don't know, maybe early March, in that sort of window, before it gives us a crop in sort of April time. And yeah, I'll be thinking about this bed soon, what to put in it. I'm not too sure yet. I might put our second crop of beetroots in here. I'll show you where the main crop's growing this year shortly. This year I'm going to be growing pumpkins. We're going to be doing a bit of sort of a Halloween theme later on in the year. I normally grow squashes, winter squashes, but I'm going to go with the lantern variety of pumpkins this year on there, and have some fun when we get into that October period. Down here, a bit of a transition going on at the minute. I've just been starting that bed prep I was talking about earlier. So what I've done here is I've moved our hoops over. So these hoops were in the central part of the bed, covering up the kale. Well, this year I'm growing kale on this side, and I've been growing the usual two varieties, which is Calavnero kale and curly kale, and they will be in here from sort of like April time, and they'll just chug away all the way through the year and give us a few tickles as we get into 2027. I'll be doing the chard in the middle bed this year, as opposed to doing it on the end bed, which is what you can see here. This is chard that's just sort of overwintering and tickling. And I'll be growing Derby Day cabbages here. That's the plan for this bed this year, them crops. And like I say, I'm moving the hoops around. I'll be putting some hoops in the central part here and just giving each sort of bed space a 2 to 3 centimetre layer of homemade compost, and they'll be ready to go. The overwintering rainbow chard, this will pick up. It looks a bit sort of droopy and a bit sorry for itself in a minute, but that's because of the frost we've been having. It's been quite cold at nights here, and it will just pick up again in the next sort of month and give us, you know, maybe 6 weeks, 5 weeks of harvest before we plant our Derby Day cabbages out. What I'll be doing is potentially, as this finishes its last harvest, as we get into April, I'll be already have had the Derby Day cabbages in between the gaps, so it'll be ready to go. I'll just put some compost on here, and yeah, that overlapping process doesn't just start with the new growing season. You overlap it with your winter vegetables as well. That's a great example of that. Bed prep's pretty much done on these 2 rows here. I just need to put some soil on here, some homemade compost, again 2-3 centimetres. And this year the plan is to be doing a main crop beetroots, followed by a Savoy cabbage. I'll be doing carrots in here, followed by a brassica, I'm not sure yet, maybe a Brussels sprout and something else. And potatoes and leeks will be on this side this year, where our current overwintering Brussels sprouts are. So, like I said in my previous videos, this is the great time of year to get all this bed prep done. So when we get into that mid-Feb point where I start sowing seeds, I'm not worried about the growing space. I've done the work. So I'll always encourage you guys, get this bed prep stuff done now. You try and get a structure in place so you know what you're growing at what time, and your calendar's all mapped out. And it will change because mine changes. I've just spoke about what I'm growing there, but I can guarantee you that one or two of them veggies won't go to plan. You know, I'll have a veg that crops early, so I'll have an earlier gap to put the next crop in, or one crop will be late, so I need to put the follow-on crop elsewhere, and I'll have to reconfigure the growing space to accommodate that sort of thing. And that's cool. So always have a plan B as well up your sleeve. Always have a crop ready to go in your greenhouse or your polytunnel, you know, a tray of something. Even if you don't plant it out, you've got a plan B. This bed this year pretty much is sorted as well. So at the minute, overwintering Swedes and spring onions and things. And I'll be putting the Harris fencing up here in March for runner beans, which will be down this space this year. And then I'm going to be growing some curry squashes on here. And I always speak about planning ahead, and I'll show you a little example of that. So as you can see, I've got gaps here, and that's intentional. So I grow my garlic in lines, which is what this crop is, but I've got a gap here, and that gap is where I'm going to be putting my squash plants. So my squash will be getting underway while my garlic is coming into harvest. I'm not waiting to pick the harvest before I'm planting my crop. I've left a gap there ready for the next crop. And that's something that I would encourage you guys to do throughout your growing space. It's something I do. So for instance, on the main bed where I'm planting beetroot, I'm going to be leaving a little gap for the Savoy cabbages. So when I put them in, as we get into sort of like maybe July time, that gap's already there. I'm having to pull beetroots out. I've already got the space ready and available. And that's another little tip and trick. Everything's just ticking over in the polytunnels really. It's just overwintering salads. Nothing's really changed too much, and overwintering things like, as you can see down here, we've got some rainbow chards and kales and spring onions and garlic again. I always grow garlic indoors as well as outdoors. I put this in a few weeks sort of earlier than the outdoor crop, and because it's indoors I tend to get it about a month earlier. So around the outside I do a garlic every sort of 15 centimeters, and that won't interfere with crops growing in here. And even when these crops are finished and I've got tomatoes going in, that garlic will continue to chug away until I harvest it, hopefully about sort of the first week in June. And similar in here really. As you can see, it's just doing the same thing. It's all overwintering crops. Either crops that are gonna give us a harvest now until April, or crops that are gonna start to give us some harvest as we get into May, like the spring onions, for instance, I've got growing down here. Carrots I always grow indoors. I sow these in August, and it gives us a nice little tickle over the winter. I think they do better in a polytunnel over the winter because slugs and dampness doesn't, you know, cause them any issues. So yeah, everything's just ticking over nicely, guys. We are planning and plotting, and I don't think there's anything else to sort of share with you really, other than encouraging you to get your growing spaces ready, which is pretty much what we've been doing. I've just had my first batch of seeds delivered, which is really exciting. So I know where my plants are going. I know what seeds I'm going to be sowing. So I feel organised, I feel on it, and I hope, and I'm wishing you guys the same, that you're underway, you know what you're doing, and you're ready to grow this next growing season. So yeah, that's pretty much the growing space done for the end of January 2026. Hope you find this video useful. Please feel free to like, share and subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you in some future videos. That's me out. Lots of love. Take care.